Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Flower Power Live. Today is March 1st, 2021, and tonight we're going to be talking about the tree linden, also known as basswood here in the North America. My name is Allison, and I am an herbalist, educator, and ecologist, and I love everything plants. So thank you for joining me here tonight and helping me share the stuff I love, right? So, but before I get into linden, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I am wearing this little tassel tonight. And today's March 1st, and that means that it's a special day in Bulgaria. A number of years ago, I had a roommate from Bulgaria, and she introduced me to this wonderful tradition called Baba Marta Day. And March 1st is when Baba Marta means grandmother March. And so the idea is that the month of March is kind of like a cranky old grandmother that you never know what kind of mood she's going to be in. And so the tradition became that the local tradition was to create these beautiful red and white tassels to decorate the homes, but mostly to wear on your clothing or wear as a bracelet to sort of make grandmother happy, so that she would bring in bring spring sooner. And in Bulgaria, that often would mean seeing the storks returning to the Black Sea, or maybe, the fruit trees blossoming. And so today at school, I worked with some of the kids and we made these tassels and asked them each to decide, well, what was their sign of spring that they were going to look for. You got to wear it until you see your stork or whatever it might be. And so we had a lot of fun with that today. So I'm just curious, what is your favorite sign of spring? And has it happened yet where you live? If so, comment down below. I'd love to hear what's going on where you are. So we just had a lot of fun today. And I love these kinds of traditions that are really just kind of nature-based and very easy for everyone to be a part of. And that kind of brings us to the little bit of the message from Linden tonight, just to make sure you have enough sort of joy and celebration in your life. So the linden tree, there's several different species of linden. The most common one in Europe, which is where a lot of the medicinal use comes from, is the Tilia cordata and little leaf linden. And in America, it's called basswood, and that's Tilia americana. And there's a few other subspecies in between as well. It's a very big tree. It gets up to 80 feet tall and maybe 50 feet in the crown. And so it makes an excellent shade tree and is planted commonly in parks and along roadways and so on. So it has these wonderfully shaped leaves. Show you a picture of those here. That's it's uniquely shaped in that it's heart shaped, but one of the lobes of the heart of the top is always bigger than the other lobe. So this is a really good way to identify this tree if you have this sort of offset shape to the tree lobes. Now the trees are edible early in spring if you harvest them early enough. But what linden's really known for is for its incredible flowers that put up a beautiful scent. They're a lovely cream colored flower and this unique sort of bract, which is actually part of the calyx, or it's a sepal, calyx, sepal. The calyx is multiple sepals and covers the trees like this, usually around the end of June, sort of like a midsummer kind of a time period. So the bees absolutely love these. And one of the ways that you can identify a blooming linden tree is by how many bees are on it. So if it's covered with bees, it's probably a linden. And that's a really good reason to plant one in your yard if you have a big enough yard. They are huge trees, so unless you have something big, you wouldn't want to put one probably in your yard. So now one of the interesting things about linden is that it has a lot of folklore and symbolism associated with it. It's considered a sacred tree, and it has long considered um, sacred and a symbol of love, fertility, prosperity, fidelity, friendship, peace, justice, altruism, and good luck. So again, you might want to plant one of these trees in your yard, right? It's well known for its sort of soothing demeanor, and there was a tradition. I don't know if it's still, I'm sure it's not still used, but for courts to hold their hearings or their trials out in the city green underneath a linden tree, because it was thought to bring about a more fair and just result from the trial. So while you probably can't go out on the green, if you do have to go to trial, maybe just like stick a linden leaf in your pocket or something like that. Maybe that'll bring you some good luck. Another thing I found that was so interesting is that in France, businesses will shut their doors and everyone will go out harvesting when the blooms are in season, because they're only really like in their prime for a few days, less than a week. And so this becomes sort of something that families will go out and gather linden blooms in their baskets. Now, when you are harvesting a linden, you want to make sure, with my other picture, that you are harvesting both the flower and the bract. And this picture here shows you kind of see how the flower is hanging here. And then you've got this kind of sepal, open sepal. There, you want to pick the whole piece off. And there's kind of a close-up of the flowers. Very luscious looking. And harvest all of those. Now you can dry those, or you can use them fresh to make a tea, or to make a tincture or a glycerite. Now I haven't talked much about glycerite. It's not as common, but a glycerite is basically like a alcohol extract, a tincture, but it's being extracted in glycerin instead of alcohol. And this is used a lot of times for children's remedies if you don't want to give alcohol to a young child, which is appropriate because this linden is an excellent remedy for children. It's strong, but it's also gentle. And so it is commonly used for children. And the tea is very mild and almost like honey flavored. And so it's something that children would tend to like, as opposed to something like, I don't know, burdock root or something, which is very bitter and not often very appealing to young kids. So the main use for linden, or Tilia as it's often called, or lime, it's called a lime tree in England, is that it's a soothing nervine. And so a nervine is a type of remedy that works on your nervous system. So anytime there's any kind of anxiety or nervous tension or any kind of even like muscle tension, then linden would be excellent for that kind of a situation. It's even for things where, like, if you are nervous and you're getting like stomach cramps from, stress and so on, it can be good for that. It also has an affinity for the cardiovascular system and can help with reducing hypertension. So hypertension, and linden helps reduce tension in a lot of situations. And that's the main use that you see for it, but it's an excellent use. And it's a great substitute, or used in conjunction with elderflower as a helping with fevers as well. Now, the flower essence has some really wonderful properties. So according to Moonflower Essences, the linden essence softens your energy, allowing you to gently land back into the physical to enjoy life in the here and now. So again, this idea of just kind of enjoying the moment and the simple pleasures of life from more of like a childlike perspective. Now, Delta Gardens, they call the linden flower essence a good to provide angelic relief to deep worry and anxiety. It steadies the high-strung or overexcited psyche and helps balance the cycles of work, play, and rest. So work, play, and rest, that's three things. And what do we do as grown-ups? We work, okay? We might play a little bit, and we often don't get enough rest. So Linden can help you bring you back into balancing this work, play, rest cycle. And the Salt Creek Apothecary said that in working with Linden, we might remember who we are, where we came from, and how to relax in our roots. So like, who are we really inside? You know, I'm talking about where you live. I'm talking about, you know, what is this true nature of the human being that we so often forget when we get so involved in our busy day to day. So the oracle card that I drew for Linden is called the Hia of Earth. And forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I think that's close, which means daughter in Spanish. And the Hia cards are all herbs that are good for children. So daughter, children. And they're kind of the, they're like Jack, Queen, King. They're in that type of card within the deck. So the saying from the card says this: return to a beginner's path, lighthearted as a blossom, grounded as a sheltering tree. Be flexible as you build your future. So the image on the card shows a young child building a wattle fence and using the linden branches. And the fence it's not perfect, but it's kind of doing the trick. You know, it's fine, right? And the child is protecting the sage, and there's a large linden tree growing in the background, and it's completely covered with blossoms. Now, the funny thing is when, well, the message is really about taking on new responsibilities and doing it with a feeling of joy, even if it's something that you don't want to do. So, you know, we ask our children to just do your chores without complaining. And so we need to kind of remember that for ourselves. And it's flexible, willing, and strong. The branches of the linden tree are able to be bent into this, this fence. So just remember to take on all your tasks with a playful air. And what I was going to say is when I was pulling this card, another card fell out of the deck. And usually when that happens, you want to pay attention. And it cracked me up because what was it? Dandelion. So if you saw my dandelion from earlier this year, dandelion is the card of the year. So dandelion just wants to remind us of what the message for the year is, which is to be more adventurous, bold, a little sassy maybe, and to enjoy your life a little bit more. So that really goes quite nicely with the message from Linden today, looking at being a little bit more childlike and more adventurous. So the insight that I got from this is that, as that flower essence says, it says, remember who we are and where we came from. And so this is a call to really kind of go, well, who were we when we were born? Like, what are we really supposed to be like when we're here in this life? Are we really supposed to be a workaholic, rigid kind of person? Probably not. And so when was the last time that you just let yourself be carefree about something? Just sat with a relaxing cup of tea and allowed your senses to kind of take you in, be taken in by your senses. And I'm going to guess not that often. So let's make sure the message for this week is to just to make sure to go back to that kind of like childlike state of wonder and enjoyment and really eagerness, and find that person inside of you, revive them every once in a while, and make sure and let them out to play. So that's our message for tonight, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. If you're interested in getting more involved with a community of people who are sharing their plant journeys and plant wisdom and medicinal uses of plants, and right now really talking a lot more about starting seeds and getting gardens going here in the Northern Hemisphere, feel free to join my Flower Power Facebook group. I will put the link down below. And until next week, I hope you have a wonderful week, and go out and look for a sign of spring and let me know what you find. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.